Here's a fun fact. You don't own any stocks. Now, I don't mean that in the sense that you don't own any stocks because you haven't bought any stocks because you've been too busy watching useless videos about stock market technicalities to figure out how to actually invest your money so you can retire or whatever. I mean you don't own any stocks because nobody owns any stocks. If you think you own stocks, you don't. What you actually own is an entitlement to a stock which is held for you by your broker. The bank or whatever is allowed to actually buy stocks because you're a little dum-dum who isn't allowed to play with the big business boys. Except wait, actually your broker doesn't own any stock either. Your broker actually owns an entitlement to a stock that is held by Cede Co, the partnership nominee of the Depository Trust Commission. In fact, Cede Co technically owns every stock in the New York Stock Exchange, COMEX, and NASDAQ. Tens of trillions of dollars in assets are held by a company with about a dozen employees located right here at 55 Water Street, which raises the question, why? Well, I should start by saying that doing research for this episode was extremely difficult because if you Google Cede Co, you mostly find a lot of conspiracy theories about how it's proof of some sort of global financial conspiracy, when the truth is that it's actually just proof of a bunch of weird and confusing legal and logistical technicalities. The good news is, weird and confusing legal and logistical technicalities was actually the original name of this channel before we realized it would be too long for merch. Our story begins, much like Beatlemania or Legionnaire's disease, in the 1960s. Back then, the stock market ran on these weird little flat dead tree things called paper. Stock trades used to involve actual people on the floor of the stock exchange yelling a bunch and exchanging actual paper stock certificates. And then at the end of the day, giving those paper stock certificates to brokers who gave the traders paper checks that they then gave to the people they bought the stocks from. If you can believe it, the system of mostly drunk businessmen literally carrying a good chunk of the American economy around in their briefcases was enormously inefficient and also quite bad and also not particularly good. In fact, the paperwork processing got so backed up that the stock exchange began closing on Wednesdays to give firms time to catch up. This period, known as the paperwork crisis, got so bad that Congress did something they almost never do: pass legislation to help fix a problem. Among other things, they passed the Securities Act Amendment of 1975, which created the national market system, a series of centralized institutions that made equities trading more secure and more efficient and overall more better, although, only so much more better. One of the main pillars of the national market system is the DTC, or Depository Trust Company, and its main function is something called immobilization. Basically, one of the primary solutions to the paperwork crisis was to immobilize physical stock certificates, stopping them from having to be passed around so much from sellers to brokers to traders to brokers to buyers. The trouble was, transferring actual legal ownership of the stocks legally required moving physical pieces of paper through a complicated multi-step process that I don't feel like totally walking through, so I'll just put up here for you to read if you want. So DTC streamlined everything with an innovation so simple it sounds like it should be illegal. If the problem was that transferring legal ownership meant transferring pieces of paper, just make DTC the legal owner of every single stock and they'll keep all the pieces of paper in one big vault. And so they did. While they're shifting to mostly digital certificates now, for decades DTC housed millions and millions of physical paper stock certificates in their vault, representing every stock in the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, and still today they hold a significant number of paper stocks. I should mention that technically, DTC doesn't own it, they just hold it. For weird and boring legal reasons, they created a separate legal entity, a partnership of DTC employees, that owns the stocks called Cede Co. Cede as in central depository, and also Cede as in give up, as in the entire American stock market gave up their stocks to us. By allowing Cede to own and DTC to hold and maintain all the stocks, clearing and settling trades becomes much easier because DTC can simply electronically transfer contractual rights to a stock from one firm's account to another firm's account in their own internal bookkeeping records. No stock certificates, physical or digital, have to get moved around because technically, legal ownership didn't change. So when you think you buy a stock, what are you actually buying? Well, you're buying contractual rights and becoming the stock's beneficial owner. That title gives you the right to receive dividends the stock pays, to vote as a shareholder, and to sell the stock should you choose and receive the value of that sale. Basically, everything an owner would normally be able to do, you can do, but technically, you don't own it. But hey, ownership is overrated anyways. Just ask Elon Musk. If you want to spend 1/7 of $8 a month on something worth far more than some checkmark-shaped pixels, then boy do I have a suggestion for you. Myself and a bunch of other internet creators teamed up to start our own streaming site, basically solving every single issue that's ever existed in the digital creator ecosystem ever. Maybe. It's called Nebula, and the idea is that it's an algorithm-free, ad-free platform which removes our incentive to just make the most clickbaity videos possible and rather pushes us to make the best, most genuinely good videos possible that'll make you all want to stay subscribed. That and the general economic model of Nebula has led to some really good exclusive content like our wacky cross-country travel-based game show called Crime Spree and real-life lore's fantastic series Modern Conflicts, diving deep into recent battles and wars in a way that isn't allowed on YouTube due to their content policies. What makes Nebula even better is the best way to get access to it. Weirdly, by subscribing to an entirely different streaming service called CuriosityStream. They have some fantastic stuff. Long-form nonfiction shows and documentaries with some really big names like David Attenborough, Jane Goodall, and Nick Offerman. They're running a bundle deal with Nebula whereby going to curiositystream.com/HAI and signing up for any of their subscriptions, including the annual one that's currently discounted to about $1.23 a month, they'll include a Nebula subscription for free. That's an unbelievable deal for you, and it still even helps support HAI and loads of other independent creators, so click the button on screen or head to curiositystream.com/HAI to sign up for the bundle deal today.